All right, Lot. Star Kiper Jr. back for week 9. Continuing the pursuit of perfection is the tagline. Let's get into this week's games. Actually, before we do, went 3-2 last week. Sort of righted the ship. We're 24-16 on the season. So getting into the first game, we got Outlaw at Kitty. For Outlaw, I've been a doubter all year. I'll admit it. I was the first one to shoot down that roster. But the simple fact of the matter is Brady's back to his old self. Partly responsible is the emergence of Brandon LaFell. Of course, a healthy Gronkowski. And then you mix in Edelman and Vereen and all the other weapons that he's now got at his disposal. And Brady's putting in good performances week in and week out. I also like Emmanuel Sanders and what he's done this year, coming on with his chemistry with the forehead. Looks like he's probably the number 3 option out there behind both the Thomases. He's actually moved ahead of Welker, so really an integral part of that offense now. And then Gates, I think this is probably going to be his last great year, but it has turned out to be a special season for he and Phil Rivers. So with those 3 guys, Outlaw's really making a charge towards the front. And then on Kitty's side, the team started out strong, looked good coming out of the draft. It's losing a little bit of its mojo right now. The Falcons have struggled. Ryan's not having a good season. The running game isn't what we thought it would be coming out of the draft with Lacey and Alfred Morris. So she's really struggling right now. The roster just doesn't strike fear in anybody's heart. And for that reason this week, I've got Outlaw winning that matchup. Hooligan at Star. Hoolie's got a lot of points in that Denver-New England game, with the forehead. Then he's got Vereen on the New England side, and as I just talked about, Brandon LaFell coming on as one of Brady's favorite targets. So out of those 3 players, I see Hoolie being able to put up a pretty good amount of points there. On Star's side, Hoolie gets kind of a break because he catches Star with half of his lineup on bye this week. It's a tough bye week for a lot of people, but 4 of Star's starters are out this week. So having to insert the likes of Joe Flacco, Michael Floyd, and Brandon Cooks, not bad players, but more boom or bust players. You'll see them have a really big week, and then you'll have them see a couple down weeks. So it's hard to know what you're going to get from those players. But I'm predicting for all 3 of those players this week, bust instead of boom. And for that reason, I like Hooligan to win this game. Shark at Fuff. Shark got lucky this week. He escapes the monster week 9 bye with only 1 casualty, and that's Nelson from the Packers. So being able to just insert Patterson in his place, Shark doesn't lose a whole lot of production in that lineup this week. On Fuff's side, I'm concerned about the Romo play. If he even plays in the first place is the first hurdle. And then secondly, I think if he does play, Arizona's game plan is going to be to blitz early and often. And if he takes a couple of decent shots, there's a chance that he doesn't finish the game there against the Cardinals. And so for that reason, coupled with the fact that the rest of the lineup looks a little lackluster this week as far as matchups goes, I've got Shark winning this matchup. Scoresman at Stinkies. For Scoresman, the first problem is who's going to play quarterback this week. Stafford's on a bye. Cousins doesn't even have the starting job anymore. So that's the first obstacle that Riverboat Vin's got to overcome. And then, the second thing that's going on with Scoresman's team right now is in direct correlation to his winning ways has been Steve Smith's production. Early on in the season, Scoresman was putting up W's. Steve Smith was producing. Steve Smith started to taper off, and you've seen the L's start to pile up in the loss column for Vinny. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out for his team this week. On the other side, for Stinker, it's hard to imagine, but this is the world we live in this year. Rivers over Breeze as the starting quarterback. And I'm not second-guessing Stinker here. Rivers has just outproduced him this year. It's just plain and simple. It's really interesting, but that's what we have. Breeze is sitting on somebody's bench. It's hard to imagine. If Stinker doesn't win the championship this year, he gets my vote for GM of the year. A fantastic draft, coupled with some really, really savvy drop ad moves. You think about Mark Ingram, you think about Mohamed Sanu. He's got great depth on his bench, along with a super starting lineup. And that's all been picking on day 2 of drop ad all year, because he's been one of the winningest teams so far this year. So done a great job with the lineup this year, and for that reason, I like him to win over Scoresman this week. Lastly, our game of the week, and it will continue to be the game of the week as long as perfection continues. We've got Mama at Ben. For Mama, we talk about it week in, week out. The one that could bring this perfect streak to an end is Luck. Again, I think he has a solid day against the Giants. They're decent against the pass, so he shouldn't go absolutely bananas, but he will put up some points. The good news for the pursuit of perfection is that Graham is dinged up. I don't think he's 100%. I think he's just out there more as a decoy than anything else. So when you see Jimmy Graham in Mama's lineup, it doesn't strike that fear in your heart that it used to when he was 100% healthy. Over on Ben's side, really all we need to know from Ben is he's got Phil Dawson and he's got the 49er D going against St. Louis. Look, St. Louis, they just lost their best wide receiver. Their running game is a mess. They're starting a third-string quarterback. That offense isn't going to make it past its own 30-yard line all night. So that, in turn, is going to set up field position for Phil Dawson to get in there and kick 3 or 4 50-yard field goals. So I really think those things are going to help the pursuit of perfection remain a reality. And I've got Ben to beat Mama this week and send him to 0-9. That's all I've got. You guys have a great week 9. Here's to perfection. Bye-bye.